not just there, but we're inside the Lady Chapel. On top of that now, we've got a 144 square grid, which is the Revelation. So when you actually look at the picture that's on the floor of Wells Cathedral, it is the Revelation. And that's why what I'm trying to do today is try and break that open and try and share it with you to let you know that that is the Revelation. It is coded on the floor of Wells Cathedral, and it's for all to see, and you can't deny it. Because what we've now gone and done is gone and got all the measurements for it and realised what it was, so they can know, they can't hide it anymore. Whether you let me do the work there that it needs to do is another question, but they're definitely not hiding it anymore. So that's the grid of the 144. We're looking at a representation of New Jerusalem, and it's at Wells Cathedral, which, as I said, is at 512 coordinates, which is the Sacred Heart, and we've gone through that code and have the Sacred Heart of Jesus. So we've got lovely Mag sitting down here having a little glare up at the 8-pointed star. So this is at the beginning of the year when we were there and we were trying to seek this code out. I didn't know half as much as I did as I do now about that piece of coding, so I decided to go and chase all the cathedrals and really visit them and get into it, get stuck into it. And there's a really weird image in this. It's like, it's supposed to be a picture of Jesus, but what does it look like, Max? It looks like he's wearing a bikini, doesn't he? It's a really odd picture. It's like a woman with a beard, basically. So there's some real tampering going on in the cathedral, and that's here, and it's a bit odd. So this is what we come to. Now, I've only actually put this in my presentation last night, because I've only just found it yesterday. We went to Wells Cathedral yesterday morning, decided to get on the hands and knees with the tape measure out, getting a lot of funny looks from a lot of people, but it was worth it. So of course this is the greater aspect of that 8-pointed star, or the eight-spoke wheel of the Great Pyramid, and so on and so forth, or the wheel of the year, or the eight-winged compass rose. That's the most important thing, is that compass rose, is to understand that. So then what I wanted to do is why I wanted to go back before this presentation yesterday morning, because I knew what I was going to find, is because I've been finding it other cathedrals, and it made me click. I thought, right, I need to go back, I know what it's going to be. So I thought, if we start measuring and it starts appearing, I know what it is. It's the Revelation. It's New Jerusalem coded on the floor without a doubt. So that's what we've done. We started to get the measurements for it and started to go through the precise measurements. So this is just yesterday. So again, the basis, when you go into Wells Cathedral, the first thing you walk into is the octagon. Is when you look up, it's the octagon shape. So that's that structure of the 8 spokes that I was trying to show you before. Is this central 8 spokes that reaches off to the 16 feet to 32, and the 64, 1, 2, 8, 2, 5, 6. That's creation kind of thing taking form. That's a fractal expansion or cellular division, which is what Genesis is all about. Again, it's another huge piece of coding that we can't really get into now. So you can I'll just put this one in so you can see the octagon shape a little bit better of the entire thing. So it's in an octagon, the entire thing is an octagon, but it's in a larger octagon with a smaller. So this is what we wanted to go and get. We wanted to go and get the coding for this. So that's what we did. So we went and measured it yesterday. The outer octagon is 888 centimetres, the inner octagon is 792 centimetres. This is perfect. Each tile in the grid is 6 by 6 inches. So 6 by 6 equals 36. So we've got 12 tiles of 6 inches equals 72 inches. And you'll recognise all these numbers from the presentation. It just is what it is. So a square with the sides of 72 inches has a perimeter of 288 inches. The square grid of 144 squares, 72 inches in total, has an area of 5,184 inches, which means that they've depicted Glastonbury Tor on the floor of Wells Cathedral, and it's undeniable as well, because it's all there. The entire coding is there for all to see, and it's real. There's no theory about it. New Jerusalem, the Temple of Jerusalem, is coded at Wells Cathedral in a very, very big way as well. This is a very important piece of coding. So as I say, is it from Giza or is it from Glastonbury Tor? Personally, I have the feeling that Glastonbury Tor was there first myself. I feel like that the coding has come from that, and I feel like the Tor is natural, because the natural creation shows this being created through the mound, as I said, from the primordial waters. That is creation taking form. So I believe Glastonbury Tor was standing first. I believe that was done first, and that's where the true coding of the angle of light and so on and so forth has started to come together. But anyway, yeah, the octagon, it's all very specific, and we went to get that coding just yesterday, knowing that if that appeared, I knew exactly what it was. I already had it in my mind that it was Revelation being shown anyway, thanks to all the other work I was doing. So what this coding actually is, it's a constant of light, is what it is. Now, the same thing's coded at Avebury as well. And it's all to do with like the piezoelectric currents and things that play out in the stones. But these are the harmonics of light, basically. So it's one of the constants, and we'll have the usual numbers like the 108, as we said, with the sun salutations, the sun's diameter. These numbers will, of course, form of the light coding. So it's the light that's refracting through the crystal, as we went to earlier on. It's that light refracting through the crystal. So mortal man, when John Michel's talking, he's not just talking about, I tend to go more into the stories of Earth, but he's talking about us as well. So the temple of man, these temples, a lot of them are designed in our structure. This is why Da Vinci shows the Vitruvian Man. That's why he used that, is because it's the temple of man, and these temples are built on the macro to micro kind of scale. So we're representative of Earth. That's why we're so connected with Earth, is because we're representative of Earth. We're all little Earths in ourselves, kind of thing. All little torus fields of energy and the heart pumping, and all the rest of it. So the mortal man, it's really what this really the coding was brought forward on. So the Great Pyramid of Giza is 481 feet, or was originally 481 feet, with the sides of the pyramid being 756 feet. So what you'll notice with this coding, as I said, Giza was cased in 144,000 casing stones. So we've got the 144, Giza the 756 feet at the base, four sides. Again, it's all this harmonic coding of light, and that is Giza. It's a crystal. It's showing you the creation taking form. So that is Giza's coding. Is there? That's a factual an equation for the harmonics of light, and it's the exact coding of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Again, that's a fact. It's not a theory. It's a fact. All the information coming is going to be factual. So a lot of people talk about, oh, it's at the speed of light, but obviously if you search Giza, they're not going to give you them speed of light coordinates. But if you actually get it up on the grid map, you're going to land precisely at Khufu's pyramid, and it's at the 299792458. Now with the speed of light, you have a little clue to how they're using the light. And it's, with this again, 792, you've got Earth's diameter again in the speed of light. It has to be this way, because of course light is entered in this construct. So yeah, so Giza is actually at the speed of light. So that's obviously one of the very first theories that people had about the Great Pyramid of Giza. How could it possibly be perfectly aligned for the speed of light with north, south, east, west perfect? Well, obviously we've got a lot deeper coding now, so we can actually start to see why they've done it and what it's all based on. So yeah, so Giza's there. It is at the speed of light coordinates. So the New Jerusalem, Glastonbury Abbey, Knights Templar, and King Arthur. All very important to actually understand the allegory and symbolism that's surrounding it. So the book of Revelations, 22 chapters, 404 verses, as I said with the 44 earlier on, and it's the 66th book of the Bible. So Revelation plays out. We've got the 211 from Wells, the 1841 and the 119. So Revelation 1911 is partly why I asked Rosie to come today and honour us with Pegasus all around the walls. Of course, it's the White Horse of Revelation. So thank you to Rosie for doing that for me today. Actually, she's done it yesterday without me even prompting her to do so. She was here working away and getting it all done, so thank you very much. So the White Horse of Revelation. Then I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse. The one sitting on it is called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he judges and makes war. So of course it's the 9/11. I mentioned these numbers before. We had the Twin Towers, 9/11 date, or I mentioned with the Knights Templar, they were founded in the year 1119, which is the sun and the moon of Solomon. So Revelation 19:11 is pointing us somewhere, taking us to that New Jerusalem. New Jerusalem as an area of 1911. 447 is the 744 again, and it's all coming back around. So this is the area of New Jerusalem of what they've measured from all the furlong measurements and everything else. The 191 or 1911 is the area. So this is just a little bit about the Templars with the 1119 year. March 22nd, 2020, it's the year we went into full lockdown, the day we went into full lockdown. That was the day I was arrested as well. It's the 223 date. I was arrested 223 years to the day that Liverpool got the coat of arms. So all these numbers started playing out. But that was the day that the Templars were abolished. Anyway, so it was a very important date, and that was the date that we went into lockdown. So for me personally, I've said that the Templars never went anywhere. The original banking systems And a lot of this trouble starts at the beginning in 2019 was also to do with the banking systems and things crashing, and credits and everything else. And there was a big important move that was made by the Medici family. The Medici family released their new bank franchise known as the Challenger Bank. And they said they're coming to challenge all the other big corporations that have been taken over. And Medici's are from Florence. People know the Medici family very much, very well linked to Leonardo da Vinci. But the thing is with the Medicis is they were botanists, very much in love with nature. So was Leonardo da Vinci actually, but they were alchemists as well, because they understood the botany and they understood all this type of thing within nature. It was perfectly done for them. So King Arthur's tomb then, the speculation for Arthur's tomb at Glastonbury Abbey, 1911 or 1191 for Arthur's tomb is the year that they would find it. So this is just one of the older pieces that I found. Was first you may see a sculpture, and it was just to do with basically this, the exhumation of Arthur. So they exhumed Arthur's tomb apparently in 1191. This date comes 7 years after the Knights Templar had arrived in London at Temple Church. They moved from Temple Mount to Temple Church in 1184. And 1184 is the year that Glastonbury Abbey suffered the fire, of course. So this is the coding of the Knights Templar. The Templars are definitely the ones who were responsible for these codings coming through for like the octagon coding, and it's because they have the coding of Alchem, and Alchem is the old name for Egypt, which is alchemy. It's where alchemy comes from. It's the old Black Lands of Egypt. People claim the Black Lands of Egypt is because of the skin colour. It's definitely not. It's because of the soil, and it's because of the carbon atom, or the black atom, black matter, dark matter, so on and so forth. So yeah, this is the story that played out anyway. It was 1191, and it's the Templars year. It's the number that they worked with, and as I just mentioned, 1184 then was the year they transferred the quarters, the headquarters, or the new temple, and 1184 would be the same year that Glastonbury Abbey suffered the fire. 7 years then from that date, King Arthur's tomb would be exhumed, and the story would be created of King Arthur in the physical form, much like Jesus Christ's story in the physical form was created. It is what it is. It's a story. It's a fairy tale. It's a nice one, but it is what it is. So, May 25th, 1184, Glastonbury Abbey suffered fire. 2,520 days later, Arthur's tomb was exhumed. So, as I said throughout this talk, look out for that 252. It's one of the builders' numbers. Templars are builders, they're architects, that's what they are. That's why we've got all this octagon coding inside all these churches and cathedrals. It's where it stems from. The Knights Templar are the original stonemasons. So I just wanted to make it sure that you understand this 252 and where it comes from. It is the Royal Egyptian cubit. It does come from all these old places. It's a sacred cubic measure. It comes from Hebrew, it comes from all different cultures, and that 252 is definitely not a coincidence. So when that pattern's played out between the fire and between Arthur's tomb being exhumed, it's all done in a very, very specific manner. And it's also at this code in a precise format.